Good afternoon. It's clear that the Department of National Defence, the largest department in the Government of Canada, has an ongoing and serious problem that must be addressed. When there is a problem at the top of an organization, it is reasonable to suspect that there is a problem throughout. We ask a lot of the brave Canadians who serve in our armed forces. In return, we have a duty to protect those who've sworn an oath to protect us all. Nous en demandons beaucoup aux braves Canadiens et Canadiennes qui servent dans nos forces armées. En retour, nous avons le devoir de protéger ceux et celles qui ont prêté serment de nous protéger. We cannot allow our daughters, our sisters, and our mothers to work in an unsafe environment. No one should be subjected to sexual harassment when they show up to serve their country. Personne ne doit être soumis au harcèlement sexuel lorsqu'il ou elle se présente pour servir son pays. This unsafe culture must change. A Conservative government will order a service-wide, independent investigation into sexual misconduct in the military. While this investigation is taking place, all general and flag officer promotions and salary increases will be suspended. Un gouvernement conservateur va ordonner une enquête indépendante sur les harcèlements sexuels dans l'armée. Pendant la durée de cette enquête, toutes les promotions et augmentations des officiers généraux seront suspendues. A Conservative government will also introduce policies to ensure future complaints are made to an independent body outside of the chain of command. Un gouvernement conservateur mettra également des politiques en place pour garantir que les futures plaintes seront déposées auprès d'un organisme indépendant. We will also ensure greater representation of women and other underrepresented Canadians amongst the top ranks. This is a pressing issue that cannot wait to be fixed. As a proud veteran and father, we must ensure that any woman can serve her country with honor and without compromise. The Canadian Armed Forces has been an important institution in our history, and it remains important today. I'm very proud of the Canadian Armed Forces. I served alongside incredible men and women from all walks of life who put Canada first. Now, we must put Canadians first to ensure that they can serve with the respect they deserve. We owe it to them to get this right. This starts with ensuring a safe environment and having women at the command table. Thank you.
We'll now start the question period. One question, one follow-up. Nous allons maintenant commencer la période de questions. Une question suivie. Nous allons débuter au téléphone. Opérateur, avez-vous une question?
Thank you. Merci. Please press star one at this time if you have a question. S'il vous plaît, appuyez sur étoile 1 maintenant pour poser une question. Our first question, Brian Lilly, Toronto Sun. Please go ahead.
Good morning. I wanted to find out if you had heard any of the complaints that you're now talking about when you were in cabinet, when you were a member of the previous government, because some of this does go back to that time period. You were the Minister of Veterans Affairs. Was this raised with you with any of these particular gentlemen in your time in cabinet, whether it was directly to you as minister or just something that was brought forward at the cabinet table?
Thank you, Brian. This is more than one person. Right now, we have direct investigations with respect to two chiefs of defense staff, the most senior position in the Canadian Armed Forces, and concerns that there's been a culture developed that have not taken these concerns or complaints seriously. What we're proposing today is to send a clear signal that victims can come forward and be heard. We will have a freeze on promotions and salary for the general officers, and then an independent investigation to ensure that voices are heard and that a signal is sent that the Canadian Armed Forces is welcome to all Canadians, and they can serve their country with dignity and respect at all rank levels.
Would like also to hear your reaction to AstraZeneca being approved today. Your thoughts on what this means for Canadians getting vaccinated. It doesn't appear to move the timeline up all that dramatically, but I'm wondering, do you think that it moves up the timeline for a possible spring election being called by the Prime Minister?
Well, first, Brian, this is good news. As you know, I want the government to succeed in the vaccine rollout, and another vaccine, being AstraZeneca, is positive. We still have questions about their timeline and meeting the September deadline because we're millions of doses behind where we should be. And will the AstraZeneca vaccine be deployed to the appropriate age group and demographic? These are questions that the government should answer so that Canadians can have certainty and that we can round the corner and focus on our economic recovery.
Thank you. We'll now go to the room for a question.
Brian Mullen, Global News. Mr. O'Toole, we have 2 chiefs of defense staff under investigation and experts saying this is a major crisis for the Canadian Armed Forces. What responsibility does the Minister of Defense bear in all of this, and do you have confidence he can stay on the job?
Thank you, Brian. As a veteran, as a father of a teenage daughter who I would love to follow my career path into the Canadian Armed Forces, we have to act immediately, and we have to send a message that the Canadian Armed Forces is welcome to all Canadians, and all Canadians can serve and put their country first and know that they will be respected. So I will not politicize this today. I am recommending what I would do if I was Prime Minister. I would hold the flag ranks and general ranks accountable with a suspension of promotions and salary increases, an independent investigation so that Canadians can have confidence in the process and victims can come forward, and a way so that we can address the complaints that are being raised. We have to act swiftly to save an important institution and its reputation.
And as a former Air Force officer, could you speculate about what turmoil could be happening at headquarters for those people in uniform today, particularly women? How would you imagine this affects their ability to do their jobs?
I want to thank the women who are serving Canada in the Canadian Armed Forces and let you know that my announcement today is not about politics. It's about making sure you're respected and your service is respected. I served alongside incredible women during my career in the Canadian Armed Forces. We owe it to you, we owe it to our daughters, we owe it to all Canadians to ensure that this institution is an example of respect and professionalism. And I'm very disappointed with the news in recent weeks, which is why I'm proposing these concrete measures today.
You're calling for an independent investigation. What about a full public inquiry?
I want to see independence first and foremost, Brian, because leadership begins at the top. And now that we've had 2 chiefs of defense staff come under investigation in subsequent order, we have to be sure that any complaint can be brought outside of the chain of command to make sure that it will be investigated thoroughly and that we can send a clear message that there is a welcoming and opportunity in the Canadian Armed Forces for all Canadians. And that is what this process will do. And I hope the government acts on it.
Okay, we'll now go back on the phone for another question. Opérateur, avez-vous une autre question?
Thank you. La prochaine question. Next question. Louis Blouin, Radio-Canada. À vous la parole.
Bonjour, M. O'Toole. J'aimerais vous entendre d'abord sur AstraZeneca. Est-ce que le fait que le vaccin soit moins efficace que les autres, à peu près à 60 quelques %, est-ce que cet aspect-là vous inquiète?
C'est bonne nouvelle. On a besoin des vaccins. Il y a des questions sur l'efficacité de AstraZeneca pour quelques personnes et c'est pourquoi on a besoin d'un plan spécifique pour nos aînés, par exemple, et quel vaccin pour les aînés ou les autres. Il y a beaucoup de questions maintenant, mais on a besoin des vaccins pour une relance économique après. Donc, c'est bonne nouvelle, mais le gouvernement doit avoir un plan pour l'utilisation d'AstraZeneca.
J'aimerais revenir sur la motion concernant le génocide et les Ouïghours. Il y a des agriculteurs et des gens de la communauté d'affaires qui sont inquiets à cause de ça, de peut-être subir des conséquences, des représailles économiques, parce que ça relance les tensions avec la Chine. Qu'est-ce que vous auriez à répondre à ces gens-là qui sont inquiets et seriez-vous prêt à les compenser pour une position de principe comme ça si jamais il y avait des représailles économiques?
Je comprends les inquiétudes et on doit travailler en étroite collaboration avec nos exportateurs et on doit trouver les nouveaux marchés pour nos produits. Et on va avoir un plan pour ça. Mais en même temps, nos valeurs sont plus importantes. Et c'était un exemple cette semaine d'un vote unanime pour nos valeurs, pour les droits des personnes à travers le monde.
Merci. Nous avons droit à le temps pour une dernière question. Opérateur, avez-vous une dernière question?
Merci. Thank you. Our last question, Catherine Lévesque, La Presse canadienne. À vous la parole.
Oui, bonjour, M. O'Toole. Je veux revenir sur ce que vous proposez aujourd'hui. Qu'est-ce qu'une autre enquête indépendante au sein des Forces armées apporterait de plus à celle qui a déjà été réalisée par Marie Deschamps en 2015?
On doit avoir une enquête indépendante spécifique sur les allégations. Et après les deux chefs d'état-major et des enquêtes sur les deux, on doit avoir un processus clair, transparent et indépendant. We must have a clear and independent investigation process. After our two chiefs of defense staff have both come under investigation, there must be an independence to this for specific allegations, particularly so people can feel free to come forward and know that it's outside the chain of command.
Oui, en suivi, vous n'avez pas tout à fait répondu à mon collègue Brian Lilly. Justement, vous avez été ministre des anciens combattants, vous étiez au cabinet quand le général Vance a été nommé chef d'état-major. Est-ce qu'à ce moment-là, vous avez entendu parler d'allégations ou est-ce que vous avez fait le vetting suffisant à ce moment-là pour M. Vance?
Mes préoccupations ne concernent pas une seule personne, particulièrement après les allégations contre les deux derniers chefs d'état-major. C'est pourquoi on doit avoir un processus juste et transparent et indépendant, parce qu'on doit envoyer un message clair à tous les Canadiens qu'on va protéger les Canadiens en uniforme. Comme un ancien combattant, moi-même, comme un père de famille, ça serait une priorité pour moi comme Premier ministre. As a veteran and father of young children, this will be a priority for me to make sure that we have a process that ensures that we have people served free from harassment and that we can investigate complaints in a way that's fair and independent and outside of the chain of command. So this isn't about one specific allegation. It's the sense that when the two highest ranked officers are both under investigation, we have to examine that there's no cultural problem.
Thank you. Merci. Ceci met fin à la conférence de presse.
Merci beaucoup. Thank you.